Hello guys, today we are going to learn what are style components, and right after learning we will be building a project. Let's start with a fresh React project by typing npx create-react-app. Let's install the styled component package right away by typing npm I styled-components. Guys, with that we are ready to write our first styled component. Let's go to app.js, and here I'm going to return a single h2 element as a title, and let's add a class name to it, title, and go to app.css, delete everything. And here I'm going to paste the styles for it. And now let's run the server by typing npm start. Okay, so we can see it's taking up the styles. You know what, guys, we can achieve the same thing with styled components as well. First of all, let's import the style components and then come up with a style components name. I'm going to write default title, and the convention is the first letter should be in caps. Here I can pass styled dot, and after the dot you can pass any HTML element. Since we are using h2 here, so I'm going to pass h2 and then the backticks. Okay, inside the backticks we can write the regular CSS. So let me copy it from app.css and paste it here. Guys, remember this is a React component only, so we can directly use this component in the return method. Now I'm going to add a new title inside the React fragment. So let me move it inside the React fragment and add another h2, but this time instead of h2, we will be using the default title. And in the application, you can clearly see both has the same styles. Congratulations for your first styled component. Guys, with that, you have got a taste of style components. Now let's understand what are styled components. Guys, it's a CSS in JS library that allows you to write component level styles in your application. Guys, remember there are other options as well to style the React components like global styles, inline styles, external styles, and many more. There is no right or wrong way because all of these options have their own pros and cons. So it's all about the individual preferences. If you know any pros and cons of different styling options, please comment below. Let me also show you what's happening under the hood. So if I inspect these elements, you can see both of the elements are rendering H2. First heading has a class of title, and the second heading has a randomly generated class name, but it should not have this title. So let me quickly check it. Okay, so this class name is not required here, guys. So let me delete it and save and go back to browser. Now you can see the title is gone. Next, we are going to create a reusable button styled component. I'm going to create a new file. Inside it, import style component and write const button is equal to styled dot button. This is the HTML element backticks. And I'm not going to bore you with CSS, so let me paste it. And we can export it from here and save it. Now to see this button in action, let's go to app.js and import it there. And by the way, guys, to bring everything in the center of the screen, let's go to index.css. Here, I'm going to add a style, text, align, center. Save it and close it. We need to save it. And let's go to the application. And you can see the button here, guys. And the good thing is this button is completely reusable. But what if you want to have a primary and secondary variant of this button? Don't worry, it can be achieved by passing props to the style component. For that, I'm going to add a new button right below it and pass a prop called secondary. You can name it anything. And now let's go to button.js style component. Here, we can write a function by using $sign and curly braces. And within this function, style component will automatically inject the props. And now we can return if props dot secondary, then let's say use purple, otherwise. Okay, let's check out the application. Okay, guys, here you can see two different variants of the button. Now, let's say along with this two color variants, you also need size variants, maybe small and large. For large button, I want to increase the padding and font size. So let's quickly do that. So what I have done is if the button is large, then use the bigger padding, otherwise normal padding. If the button is large, use a bigger font size, otherwise normal font size. Now let's go to app.js and add a new button and pass the large props to it. Now let's check out the application. And guys, you can see this comment button is larger than these two. And now let's assume along with small and large variant, you have a medium variant as well. And for the medium, you want to, let's say, have a padding of 15 pixel and 30 pixel. And for that, you would have to add one more ternary operator. And believe me, guys, that's really hard to maintain. To solve this problem, Style Component provides a really elegant way, which is called CSS helper. So I have already imported this CSS helper here. And what we can do with CSS helper is we can club multiple properties. So for example, I can write props. If props dot large, then CSS backticks, otherwise CSS backticks. And here I can pass of 16 pixel and 32 pixel. So let's pass it. And I also want to have a font size of 18 pixel. So let me quickly do that. Font size of 18 pixel. Okay, and let me copy these two properties in the next CSS helper, which is for a normal button. So here I want to have a padding of 10 pixel and 26 pixel and a font size of 16. Now I can delete this one and this one because we have these two properties here now. Okay, let's add a semicolon here, and actually these things are not required here, so I can delete this and this one. Save it, and now let's check the application. As here you can see it's working properly. But now the benefit is we have clubbed styles on the basis of the variants. Next, we are going to learn how to pass global styles using style components. So guys, if you remember, to bring everything in the center of the screen, we had added this style in the index.css. So now let's comment it. And you can see in the browser, the button are no longer in the center. Now to pass the global styles using style component, what we can do is styles and then backticks. And inside the backticks, whatever we write, that will be considered a global style. Text, align, center. And now to use this global style, we have to render it just like a normal React component. Save it, and let's check out the application. With that, the buttons are again in center. Let me show you one more concept of style component. Let's say there is a div and a p tag with some text. And now to style both of them, you can write two styled component, one for the div element and one for the p tag, right? But there are times when you feel like you do not want to create a styled component for a single element. So to handle those situations, you can write a wrapper is equal to styled. And guys, here you can pass any HTML element. I'll pass div, and it should be a backtick. Either way, guys, you can name it anything, but the convention is to write a wrapper. There I can pass div and p, and here I'm going to write color red, and for p tag I'm going to write color green. And now this wrapper needs to be passed as a parent, so I'm going to pass it here, save it, and now let's check the application. Guys, you can see it's working fine. Next, let's see how to override a existing style component. For that, let's open button.js, and this is our existing style component. Now let's assume we want to have a black background color button. The first and the 100% valid approach to do it via props. We can add a new props and then add a return operator, which will return black. But for demonstrating purpose and to learn how we can override a existing style component, I'm going to create a new style component and let's name it black background button equals to styled. And now instead of passing dot HTML element, we will use brackets, and inside the bracket we can pass the existing style component and then backticks, and inside the backticks I'll pass the property which I want to override. So here I want to override this background color property, so I'll be passing this background color only, and let's say I want to make it black. Save it and also export it so that we can use it in the app.js. There, along with button, I'm going to import black button also. And let's say this button, I want to make it black button. Now let's check out the application. And guys, you can see here is our black button. Guys, with that, we have covered a major part of style component, but there are some other cool features like media query, animation, font family, and adding a different state to a button. For example, the disabled state, the hover state, and all that we are going to learn with the project.